more recently, just sort of leave it to God, really. Like I kind of I used to get pretty down with stuff and everything, but now, well, I just found out my camper van's a complete write-off, and it's got a lot of sentimental value and stuff, and so, you know, I think a few years ago I would have been pretty devastated about that, but now I'm just sort of, we had a little sort of pray about it with Marta, and you know, just sort of leaving it to God, really. Hopefully something will get worked out.
Very sort of I don't over sentimentalise things. It doesn't stick too much, and so overall, bad news I'm alright with. I can handle bad news, and I can think back to times in my life where I've had bad news, and you know, I'm still here. What don't kill you makes you stronger.
Yeah, it depends. Depends on the scale of the bad news. Is it, you know, there's no bread left, or someone died? That's completely two different things.
Bad news. Depends how bad it is. But usually I try and think about all the good things that are happening, and then, you know, sometimes it's not as bad as you think.
Dealing with bad news, I think part of it, dealing with bad news, is the state by which you hear it in the first place. You all know that phrase, straw that breaks the camel's back, and I think if you get bad news when you're really being kicked, that can be quite tough. If you've had bad news when things are going okay, then you can probably cope with it a bit better. And I think for me, it is a whole mixture of that, and it's really just trying to understand within that bad news, how can I best respond. I try to take the emotions out of it and just sort of try and see the bigger picture. And sometimes bad news is a very short-term issue. At other times, like friends suffering and that sort of stuff, can be far harder. And that's when I think you just got to be honest with God and just say, look, God, I just don't understand. And ultimately, I want that person healed, or I want you to explain what's going on. But ultimately, you just got to have that overall trust that despite what's happening in the short term, that God is still in control.